once again from Lake Bled. Just starting to get some lovely colour here. I've come here once again to capture the summer sun rising over the mountain peaks over there. But this time I'm in a different location. Now the one thing about Lake Bled is there are so many great viewpoints to photograph it from that you simply can't be in each one every time. So every time you come here, you need to pick a different viewpoint and of course stick with it, especially for the sunrise. So I'm actually down here on Zaka beach today. There's the little pier there, and this is the area where during the summer, of course later on everyone will be here swimming. I'm just starting to get some lovely colour over there, so I'm going to try and hit that now. I'm just doing a 2-minute exposure at the moment, which should be about done. Actually almost a 3-minute. Lovely. Now I'm just going to readjust a bit now. I'm going a bit closer to the church because we're getting some lovely colour over that church now. And yeah, more often than not, you have to act quick when the moments are happening. You have to think fast. Well, that was a spectacular sunrise. Nothing new in Lake Bled though, but really, as you saw, where it suddenly kicked off and that was it. The colours were just incredible and they stayed for most of the time. There was a nice bit of high cloud there which caught that sun as it was coming up behind the mountains. And then as it came up as predicted, as I showed you on the Augmented Reality, how it came up over that mountain peak in just the right place where the Augmented Reality showed. It was a perfect moment. Now, one problem you have with photographing the sun rising over the mountains like this, and of course the sun rising behind your subject, is the ultra high contrast. Of course, everything is backlit and the sun is coming up, so it's extremely bright. So your subject is effectively a silhouette, basically. So in order to, although you can put a grad on, that helps to pull back the detail in the sky, but it doesn't do anything about your subject and the foreground as such. So what you need to do, and what I did here, was I exposure bracketed, and I took an extra couple of exposures, one slightly overexposed and one very overexposed. The very overexposed one really brought out the detail of the church and the buildings on there and everything. Now it's completely overexposed other than that. And so what you can do is use those and blend them together in Photoshop to bring out some of the detail and reduce some of the contrast overall in the scene. So we'll go into Photoshop now and I'll show you how I do that. So here are the two images that I'm going to blend. So you can see here that this image has retained all the detail in the sky and the sun, but it's very, very dark here. So the island itself is virtually a silhouette, and even the church spire and everything is very, very dark. And in the overexposed image, all of the detail here has been captured in the island and the church, but all of this of course is blown out. So in order to bring this back, we need to blend the two together. Now you may have seen one of my previous videos on exposure blending, and if you haven't, I'll stick a link to that up here. But for this image, I'm going to use something slightly different. Now I'm going to blend obviously using the techniques that I used before, but this time I'm also going to use luminosity masks. Now I'm quite new to this, and I've just downloaded the light version, which is free, of Lumenzia by Greg Benz. And I downloaded the free version to give it a try, and I will say that I am really impressed, and I'm definitely going to go ahead and get the full version of Lumenzia. But in this video I'm going to show you how I'm using the luminosity masks to really help with the exposure blending process. So the first thing I'm going to do, of course, is take my darker image and select all and copy this one, then open my lighter image and paste that image on top. So now I've got two layers. So I've got the darker image as a layer on top of the lighter image, and what I want to do is blend through the brighter areas here around the island, church, and maybe on some of the mountains and some areas around here, to bring back the detail that has been lost by the backlighting and the high contrast. So the first thing I'm going to do, now I've created this layer on top, is I'm going to come up to layer, layer mask, and reveal all to create a layer mask here, so I can then reveal the layer underneath when I start brushing. Now the simple way to do this is to open your brush tool. You can set the opacity, let's just set it up to 100 for now, and then if you brush, there you go, you start brushing through the layer below. Now of course we don't want to brush through all that brightness. If we try to blend the image in the way that it was taken before and bring back all that bright detail from the island church, it's going to look unnatural. Now I know I see people that do this, and then you've got this really, really bright foreground with the sun setting behind and everything, and I just personally think it doesn't look natural. So I don't want to do that. So let's undo that. And here I'm going to actually select the opacity. So if you take the opacity down to 51%, then you're not going to brush through so brightly. So that's much better. But the first thing, of course, I'm going to do is I'll set that brush tool, but I don't want to just start brushing here, because if I do, there you go, see, then you're brushing through areas behind that you don't want to. And that's where it becomes quite tricky. And that's where the luminosity masks really, really help. So if we've got Lumenzia here in the panel, now what I want to do is select the dark areas of my image. And how you do that is to use the D here. Now the levels, as it says here, the larger numbers are more restrictive. So if we set a D2, the areas in white are the areas where it has been masked off and we can brush. The areas in grey and black will not be touched. So what I can do is choose how much of these areas I select. So if I go higher to D4, a D5 and a D6, I can even restrict it down to this part here. But I'm going to select a D4, because if I just blend this area through and none of this, it's going to look unnatural. So if I select the D4, it's giving me the range all across the mountains here and the island church itself. That's another thing too. If I select the D6, then I'm not masking the parts of the church front, and I want to do that. So the D4 seems to work best. And once I've done that, I load the preview as a selection. Now you can see that it's selected all these areas. So that's really, really great. If you want to hide this, because sometimes it can be in the way and you can't really see what you're doing, if you just select Control and H, it hides it, and Control and H again to unhide it. So I'm going to hide it for now, so I know where that selection is. Now I've got my layer mask there, I've got my opacity at 51%, and now I can just start freely brushing all these areas. And you see that I'm not affecting the sky when I brush. So it's selectively brushing those areas that have been masked, and it's leaving everything else untouched. And that's what I really like about the luminosity masks. It's really given me full control over how I blend. Beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. So we've blended all that area through nicely. Now you see it looks natural. It doesn't look unnatural. If I'd blended through the opacity at 100%, it would have looked unnatural, I believe. So there. Now if I do my Control and H to select again, now we can see that I've blended everything through nicely. So that's worked. Now the next step is I want to darken these areas. So I want to play with the highlights to bring back a bit more detail in that sky here and this area here. So again, leaving this selected, what I can do is go up and invert my selection. And now the selection is here. Now what I can do is, first of all, flatten my image, because I've finished with my blending now. So I've flattened my image, and now I can go up here to adjustments, shadows and highlights, and now I can start pulling back the highlights in the sky. There we go. Look at that. Excellent. So I've now pulled back the detail in that sky and a bit more here in that sun. Fantastic. Look at that. And I can also again go to my curves and add some contrast. Again, only affecting that area, because if I was doing it here in the middle, then I would again be just darkening all this back again, which I don't want to do. So this has really given me lovely control. Look at that. Look at that. That's fantastic. And there we go. And if I want to make some more adjustments to the middle bit, then again I can go invert it back again. And this time, if I want to go to my levels, I could play with the levels here. Look. And here we go. And bring this out just a touch. Let's look at the difference. See? Now I've brightened up that area again too. If we hide this, let's undo that so we can see the difference and redo. So I've brightened this up a touch. Again, not too much. And now I think that this image looks much more natural. If I pull this back again, now if I want to get rid of this, I just click the select tool and click anywhere, and now I've got rid of that. And that's my image. And if I want to do any more final adjustments on the whole thing, I can do, but I think I'll leave it like that for now. Now I can go ahead and save this. I'll save it as a TIFF, but I will add EB as its exposure blending to it to determine this is the, so I know that this is the finished image. Now I'll go ahead and check the image for any dust spots or any marks that may have appeared. We can also, it's useful to go in close, because one problem you can have when exposure blending is mismatching. So I can see here that there's no ghosting, that the two images lined up perfectly. Perfect. My sensor's nice and clean. Save that. And now I can convert it to an 8-bit. Convert the profile, I always do, to sRGB, so I can upload it to the internet and the various places where I sell it. Now I can save the JPEG version, JPEG 12, and there's my final image. So I've already put it up for sale here on my Fine Art America website, where I sell all of my wall art, and I'll also put it on my Smugmug website. Easy way to do that. What I really like about Smugmug is I don't have to worry about formatting the image for the web use. I can just upload the full size JPEG. It also acts as cloud storage for my images, because the full size images are kept there, so if I ever lose anything, then I can come here and get my images back anytime. So I can put it into an existing gallery, so I'm going to put this one into Lakes. Done. And browse to my image. And simply upload it straight onto my Smugmug website. Nice and easy. That's now done. We come down to my Lakes gallery. And it will appear here at the bottom. If I want to move that, because I might move that actually, just go to Organize Gallery. If I want to move it, I just simply drag it into the position where I want to keep it. There we go. And view on site. And there it is down there, so further up the top now. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. And if you did, and you want to have a go at doing this yourself, then as I say, go to get the light version of Lumenzia and give it a try. I'll put a link down below so you can do that. Okay, thanks for watching, and as always, if you enjoyed this video and found it useful, please give it a like, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and check out some of my other videos. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.